Welcome, guys. You're watching Trinity Force Podcast Live. We are episode 18. My name is Potophobia, and to my left, right, whatever, is Ranhurt.
Hey. Oh, God, that was way gay.
That was really gay. You need to, sit back.
Start over again?
You're, way up in your picture here.
Woo!
And, of course, above me is Hornet.
What's going on?
And always
I am
Auslander.
the sick one, unfortunately.
Yes, you sound fine, though.
We'll see how that stays.
And as I was saying, Auslander, he's over here. I don't know how to do this still yet. I'm still learning how to use my whole camera thing. So, Auslander, what's going on?
My chair squeaks.
Let's hear it.
And now it's not squeaking, of course, but there we go.
Oh, wow. Sounds like a cabinet or something.
Yeah, I have to, oil it or something. Squeaky.
So if you guys were watching this live, you just saw the GG Classic. Leaguecraft presents the GG Classic $5,000 League of Legends tournament presented by gaming.stackexchange.com. That was our promo video for this. We are inviting 8 teams, as you saw, Team Solo Mid, Reflex, Curse CLG, right? No, no CLG. Obviously, I don't
CLG's
even know.
in there.
Is they? Hell, I don't even know what we've got. We got a whole bunch of teams, and it's actually open up for 24 amateur teams coming here, and you guys can try to surprise us. More info on this, you guys can go check out ggchronicle.com. At the same time, it's going to be this huge tournament. Everybody will be casting it. I'm going to be casting it. Optimus Tom. I'm sure Ranhurt and Forak, you both will be in there, correct? Or Hornet?
Maybe. I'm not sure yet, but here, I got the list for you because I had it up. It's,
yes, please.
It's Team Solo Mid, Canalogic Gaming, Epic, Dignitas, V8, Reflex, Curse, and MTW.NA, also formerly known as Goose. So those are the ones who accepted invites to join us for our annual tournament. First annual, anyway.
Oh, well, that's fantastic. I'm glad we actually got 8 people in here for, we're fairly well known in the community, but at the same time, we're still a small website in comparison to a lot of the others. Especially if you put us up against someone like Team Solo Mid's website and everything. And, for the guy, anyone who's talking right now, I apologize how we're kind of looking in here. I should look fine as I'm coming straight from my camera. However, everybody else I'm connected to worldwide, we're out there. But going back to this Curse tournament, we'll be casting it. It starts on March 17th, if I have that correct, and it goes until the April 1st where the finals are. You'll be able to catch all those. I think we haven't finally gotten the OWN TV links down, but I believe we are broadcasting on OWN for that entire tournament. So you can catch the casting kill lane and everybody else all over there. So it'll be a great tournament. I'm excited. I hope you guys are. I'm talking to you guys, the podcast guys.
I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to actually see, getting it firsthand. You're going to get to interact with the teams, not only just watching them, but actually interacting with them as we watch them play and everything else. I can't wait. It's funny because it's going to come just shortly after these grand finals that are going to happen in Hanover for IEM Intel Extreme Masters. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to know a lot more about teams and as we go in.
It'll be great. And, the $5,000 prize pool is fairly large. And not to mention, if you guys haven't checked it out, go check out gaming.stackexchange.com. I'm very gassy tonight. It's kind of... I haven't had my vegan dinner yet, though, Auslander.
Tomorrow. I'm already plotting out what you're going to have, so...
Auslander is our resident vegan and math crafter. I don't know if that goes hand in hand, but I'm assuming that you have some kind of awesome math powers because you're such a great vegan, right?
Same stereotype? Is that the way that goes?
That's exactly it. You guys have all seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah.
The guy's got the vegan powers and he loses it because he drinks the regular milk instead of soy milk.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to you, Auslander? Like if you were to eat meat, would you lose your vegan powers?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. It's been a long time, though. It's been like 8 years, so I'm not sure what it would do. I'd probably get violently ill if I decided, I'm going to have a glass of milk. I'd probably wouldn't see me for a day or two.
That's
that's what happened about 6-7 weeks ago when you got violently ill. Someone slipped you a little meat.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it never ends up well when you get slipped the meat.
Yikes.
Wow! Yikes!
How does it not end well, though?
That just sounds awful. Someone slipped through the meat.
I'd like to go to the opposite side of the spectrum on that, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wondering. Any case.
Crickets.
More crickets. I'm not renaming this podcast. Right? Hey, Ranhurt, if you got some kind of something connected to your wireless network or something, you might want to turn that off.
Nothing. I'm getting 5 megabit upload. So
I don't believe it at all. Either that or I got Auslander a really shitty connection to you. So
I have no idea. But never had this issue before. So
As we were saying last night, you got a Shaco on your network taking up
Yeah,
bandwidth
probably.
somewhere.
He's a little trickster. So, kind of moving in here. I want everyone to go on iTunes right now. We have been on iTunes. I've been trying to fix the stupid feed all week because apparently it was all fucked up and all crazy and whatnot. And so I still can't get the picture right. But if you guys go to iTunes, you'll find Trinity Force Podcast. Rate us, subscribe to us, give us a sweet feedback. Let everybody know that we're the best podcast you guys have listened to, watched, whatever you do. I'd put the link up there on XSplit, but I didn't even think about it beforehand. So we are at like almost 300 followers, so we're like way ahead of the goal that we had before.
And what happened to that? Weren't you supposed to do something? Like, where'd that all go?
I don't know. We were gonna
He
like.
reneged.
Is it nigged or reneged?
Whatever.
Reneged. That's what I said.
I don't like where this is going.
Like renegotiated, shortened to reneged.
Abort!
Oh wow. Okay. So
Not take the
Hey,
wrong
once
path.
you renege, you never go back.
Oh, that went there. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
Jesus Christ. So did you guys check out any of the North American Amateur Tournament that's been going on, sponsored by Reddit recently?
Sponsored by Reddit.
Well, it's not really
Sorry,
sponsored. It's by like a bunch of guys that were in Reddit who posted this North American Amateur League of Legends tournament. We actually have some of the people in chat who've been in it. I don't know if you guys checked out any of the vids. Tom and I have been casting them and kind of want to talk about it real quick if you guys, hopefully someone
Well,
here.
that's up to
Go
you
for it.
then, because honestly, I have not seen a game from them yet.
Well, I just want to say that a lot of these guys from Reddit, they really surprise you in how great they play. We saw some really great counter jungling with the Sejuani that came out there, and by the end of the game, she was level 13 and Lee Sin was level 7 because they walked in, took his wolves, then took his blue, and then just counter jungled him the entire time. Taking race, doing whatever they can, stopping him as much as they can. So it was interesting how well some of these dudes play and how coordinated they are. I actually talked to some of them afterwards, and they said they have timers for everything. Something that we, when we play, we don't normally do, where we, you're timing red, you're timing blue, you're timing wolves, you're timing wards, you're timing, everything that has any kind of timer, they're timing somewhere. I have no idea where. We were looking in chat. They didn't even have it in chat. So interesting for any of those guys out there to really want to try, especially for this GT Classic.
Is it one of the add-ons? I know there's been a couple add-ons that have been thrown out there for using for timers on almost anything that you want.
Yeah,
I
there's
would have
actually there's also a bot that's in the game that you can actually send a direct message whisper to and say dragon, and it'll keep the dragon timer and then tell you a minute ahead of time the dragon's coming up
Really?
in the game. So that's kind of cool too.
That is, I
I
didn't
forget
know
what
that.
I forget what it's called, but yeah. So that was really helpful. But somebody showed it to me one time. I think it was actually Matt from Smite Club showed me that. So you can actually send a /W to whatever, I forget what it's called, something bot, and in the game, and it'll keep the timer for you.
Huh. Interesting. Hey, while we move on to the next topic here, why don't you reconnect real quick, Chris?
Again?
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
man,
no,
I
no.
just dropped it.
Drop the whole call, reconnect. You sound
Okay,
a little,
all right.
you're a little crappy right now. Sorry, little thing, if you guys watching live. If you guys listen to this tomorrow, you won't hear this because I'll go through and edit all the great stuff out of it. So hope all you guys are enjoying it so far. We have a lot more viewers this week than we've had any in the past. So we'll see if we guys can keep you guys entertained at all. And you look a little better than you did. Why don't you talk and say hi to everybody, Chris?
Hi, everybody.
I don't know. I can't fucking fix it. I try. I try.
So I'm all jacked up again?
No, your camera looks fine. Your sound is a little off.
It's delayed. At least on my screen it's delayed, but that's not a big deal.
That's all right. So this week we have a few topics. This week is going to be completely off of us, off the top of our head, things we've been wanting to talk about since probably like G-Force 11. The first one here is just how important is Baron. Hornet, were you the one to put this in this document?
I don't
No, I believe
think
I
so.
put that in there.
Okay,
But
I
it's
can't
really up
remember.
for everyone to talk about.
Go ahead and take the lead for it.
All right, sure. So really the question here is just how important is Baron? I know a lot of the pro tournaments we've seen kind of recently, they've put a little bit of less of an emphasis on Baron. While it's still very, very important, it's a great objective. It gives a great buff, lots of money and gold. But in most cases, it's also where a major team fight happens that it may lose you the game, it may win the game for you. So it's a big risk. Baron does a lot of damage, and we see a lot of engagements there. You need to have vision all around Baron. So, really this topic was just kind of to talk about, some of those tips and tricks about how to take Baron and then also how to steal Baron. So I guess one thing to always note is ward placement in Baron. So if you are on the blue side, then you want to think about placing a ward around the race of the purple side, and then also another one on the other side of Baron or on the back of the pit, in between the Baron's pit and red. They're good places to place wards, so you can see the enemy there as they position to try and take a steal, or if they're approaching to check. If you are on the purple side, then you want to place a ward on each of the entrances from the blue jungle, so by the blue team's blue buff, that little entrance there, and then the other one on the other side of blue buff. So both those entrances should have you covered for if they decide to come check and see if you're doing Baron there. So those are just some good ward placements. Other tips: always make sure your jungler is there when you go to do it. Make sure you have smite up. That always helps to have that smite. Make sure if you are the jungler that you know how much damage your smite does, so that you can keep track of the health of Baron and ensure that you get that last hit. Additionally, Wriggle's Lanterns or Madred's Blood Razor, or just Madred's Razors in general, always help to get that Baron down quickly. And finally, just don't be afraid to peel off. If you're in the middle of doing Baron and the enemy team's coming to contest it, if they've got larger health than you because you've been taking Baron, you need to know when you need to get off of it entirely or peel off and engage in a fight. So all those things can help get you Baron or keep you alive and not make Baron a big mistake that you shouldn't have committed to. Do any of you guys have anything to add to that?
Well, I was going to say, that I still remember this. Somehow I remember this topic was on Reddit. This was 4 months ago, but somebody named Pengstordo actually put together all the math that goes behind the Baron buff. So just as a statistical part of it, each character that receives Baron buff gets 40 AP, 40 ability power, 40 attack damage, 3% of your maximum health and regeneration for 5 seconds, 1% of your maximum mana regeneration per 5 seconds, 300 gold, and 900 experience. And what he did is he took all of those statistics and said, okay, 40 AP is the equivalent of a blasting wand, which is 860 gold. 40 attack damage is equal to a BF sword, which is 650 gold. And on as he goes. But in any case, the Baron buff is worth a little over 5,000 gold per player for the stats that you have on him. And I still remember reading that and was like so impressed by, actually seeing the giving it a value. It's literally worth 25,500 gold in the ability and all of the buffs that you get from Baron. So that's just how important Baron is as a whole, and a lot of people, especially in lower elo games, don't really realize just how important it is to take advantage of everything that the Baron buff can give you and how powerful it can be in a game, because whoever has the Baron buff has the advantage almost all the time, unless you are already way behind and happen to have ninja stealed it. And that's why stealing it and sacrificing yourself is worth every bit of it if you can get the buff from it, which is also why a jungler needs to have smite ready for whoever's doing Baron, because if a good jungler on the other team is going to find a way to come in and steal it, and they don't care if they die doing it. So it's just a perspective on how important Baron buff actually really is.
Yeah, another thing is if your team is trying to take Baron and the other team pops a ward over the wall or something, if you're one of the main damage dealers, if you're the AD carry or even the AP carry, do not peel off Baron to kill the ward. Let the support do it, because that's valuable time you're losing. While you could be DPSing down Baron, instead you're attacking a ward for 25 gold, which I've seen a lot of times, in people's streams. You'll see the AD carry peel off Baron to kill a ward that was placed, and really it's just a waste of your time, and your resources are better spent just trying to DPS the Baron down.
Now there does come a point though when you start Baron, the enemy team is coming, and you may not be necessarily starting a fight. Let's say your purple side, you've started the Baron, and then suddenly blue side comes running up. there's a whole bunch of little strategies that I've seen a lot of people that can do. One good tip that I heard from the Odd One saying in the stream once is if Baron isn't under 5,000 life, then you need to peel off. If he's at 6,000 life, you need to peel off and fight the enemy team. But if he's at 5,000 or below life, just for like a random static number, you should all just go balls to the wall while one person tries to stop everyone from coming in. Just steal it. And also you need to be really, really good at smite steal. Smite grabbing the Baron and knowing how much damage you do. But I'll see a lot of people, they'll be at Baron. Baron will have, 2,000 life left, and they'll all peel off to try to stop everybody coming in. When if they all would just sat there, just like if the AD carry decided not to grab the ward, they may have gotten Baron at that point. Continuing with that, as a support, you're not going to do any damage. You're not really going to do anything while you're sitting on that Baron. So it's actually beneficial for you, assuming that you know the other team's coming, to actually walk out to like blue buff, for example, and stop the enemy team from coming. Any little damage or any kind of CC you can land out. A Leona, a nice an E to Q to R to stop the enemy team gives you that extra few seconds that your carry and everybody else needs to blow up Baron. And then at that point, you all turn around and just destroy them because you can sacrifice your carry to give all the damage dealers that buff.
And also, like your priority is to kind of slow the other team's jungler down from getting there, because he's the high priority target, because he'll most likely have his smite up and try to get in to steal it. Also there's some AP carries that can really burst it down, like LeBlanc or someone like that. But those are your priority targets if you're the support or whoever peeling off Baron, to just try to slow the enemy team down from coming in and stealing.
Yeah, also can't really stress enough the importance of having vision, not just wards, but also making sure that somebody on your team has an oracles or at least a pink ward. You just can't really risk it unless you just got an ace and you guys are all high in life and can take Baron safely. Then there's no real reason to actually attempt Baron unless you have some vision there, or that the entire enemy team is, say, like in bot lane. Then you could do it. But all like baits aside, I'm not talking about if they're going dragon, you go Baron and bait them up to engage. But yeah, make sure you guys have a little bit of sweeping ability, even just that little bit. Just clearing out a ward at Baron gives that enemy team the thought that you're doing Baron. You can easily sit in that little single bush or anywhere and actually jump them when they come around to check. So lots of little tips and tricks that you can do. Just be mindful of that, and certainly as wards aren't very prevalent in low ELO play, wards on Baron kind of still exist. Like that's like the one time low ELO will actually buy, or low skill actually buy a ward, is to place it at Baron when they're losing. So at that point, oracles is a good idea, and clear those things out.
Another great thing that you have to keep in mind is after an ace, if everybody is up by the last tower, for example, it is better to take down that tower and get the inhibitor than it is to walk and get Baron. The inhibitor is going to put you farther ahead because it's going to force the other enemy team to sit in their base. And at that point, you can either, you can force a team fight at Baron just in a few minutes after everyone backs and get some get some items, or you can just use that to push your advantage, take that middle tower down, walk back up to the top, assuming where waves are at. I'm just guessing random scenarios here. Take that second tower, and etc., and keep pushing your advantage, because there's a good quote that I've heard going around is, once you are ahead, you just want to get more ahead. There's no reason to try to backtrack and take a big chance. You want those guaranteed wins, or guaranteed, everything that you can do to make yourself get farther ahead. So I see a lot of people make the mistake of taking that turret, not getting the hit, and walking for Baron, thinking they can just walk back because they have Baron, but then the entire enemy team is up and they've had a chance to buy at that point. So
to give you an instance, I did watch. I don't know if it was a major game or I think it was a major game actually, in which Counterlogic Gaming EU Division was going against Moscow 5, and they actually had this scenario where CLG EU was pushing bottom lane from the blue side, and Moscow 5, being the purple side, actually went over to Baron, and then they actually countered by going after Baron, thinking they could pull CLGAU back towards Baron at the time. Instead, CLGAU, and I still remember watching the stream as this happened, Snoopy was calling, go get this inhib, and they raced for the inhib while Oscar 5 got Baron. And I can tell you that from watching the game at the highest level, the inhib was worth more because the lane kept getting pushed and they had to babysit it. And that forced them to stay back and not be able to roam out and go other places amongst the game. Even with the Baron buff, you couldn't really push. Right. They were really stuck at where they were. So just realize that the inhib in this case, I believe, is more important than Baron buff because of the actual pressure that is laid upon that you can't let the lane keep pushing because it's going to get to the doubles and it's going to keep banging on your Nexus turrets and then you're really in trouble.
Yeah, Baron isn't everything. It's very cool, but it's not everything, like Hornet just said. So yeah, that's great. You need to make sure that you're mindful of what you can accomplish. Many times, you'll see it. You could actually push through the inhib and take the freaking base turrets and the Nexus, and you're turning around to go back for Baron for what real reason? So some of those things, you just got to be mindful of what point in the game you are, how far ahead are you, what can you actually accomplish, what's your health looking like. Take all those things into consideration when making that call for Baron because, that's, like I said, you can win or lose a game at a engagement at Baron.
Sorry, Ratters. No, you make great points. I posted a picture in chat. It was... Anyway, I want to... Hornet, are you muted, or is my stuff blowing up here?
Oh, my God. What is going on
Yeah, he's
here?
muted. I'm sorry. I see him laughing there. I just said I'm going to replace...
I had to mute myself because I didn't want to talk in front of Randert there, but that was too...
For those who are not watching and might be listening to this, Randert's camera isn't working out so well, so I just went and found a random picture. James Avery, actually. I typed in grumpy uncle in Google image search. That was the first image.
Oh my God, perfect. Yeah, I know. Carlton, actually, you know what? Carlton would be even better. I got to say.
I do a pretty mean Carlton, I do.
Yes, he does.
I'm going to find Carlton dancing and post the YouTube video for you.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Let's get together. Yeah, that'll happen.
I already told Randert if we ever meet him, first thing I'm going to do is punch him in his face. Or we just straight up,
Isn't that
what's
nice?
up, buddy?
That's what I get. I get a punch in the face. Whatever.
That's okay. I was going to do the same thing to Pwn, so it's not like it's anything.
Oh.
Blocked!
Yeah, you better be fucking good at it, too.
He's going to put you in an omoplata.
Yeah, that's right. I block him with my face. That's how I block punches.
Yeah, that's what we heard. That derailed your MMA career, didn't it?
I don't even want to go there. It wasn't even that. God damn it.
You started that.
No. Yeah, Hornet, why don't you take us into the sweet IPL game that we had this last weekend?
Oh, actually, it wasn't IPL. It was the Curse Invitational.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking the end of it. Yes, you're right.
I know what you're thinking of. But the Curse Invitational is the one I want to talk about because for those of you who don't know, there was a 4-team invite and bracket style, best out of 3. And the winner of the 4 teams, and I believe the 4 teams were Team Mid, Counterlogic, Gaming, Dignitas, and I'm forgetting the other team at the top of my head. I apologize. It ended up that Dignitas won the invite. And what happens is when you won that bracket, you got all expenses paid to fly out to San Francisco to face Curse in a best-of-3 showdown for a pretty significant amount of money. It was actually really, really nice what they put up.
$20,000.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was a lot of money for one match. So let's just say that it worked out really well. And in the second game of those grand finals was probably one of the most ridiculous games I'd seen in a long time. And we were lucky enough that we had a reporter. Yeah, stop. Just stop. God.
Anyway.
I'm going to shoot you myself next time I see you. In the second game, Dignitas was far down early, and to give you an idea, Curse had picked Maokai, Alistar, Tristana, Vigar, and Rumble, and they were ahead by a significant amount come the 40-minute mark, and Dignitas just stuck in there. And now, the one thing I want to say is I Will Dominate, who is the jungler for Dignitas, played Dr. Mundo both games, which was surprising in of itself. We'd only see Dr. Mundo one at a time in any recent tournament match, and that was, I believe, M5, and it did not go well when they did. But this time, I Will Dominate played a great Dr. Mundo, made sure he was completely farmed and unmovable throughout this game. And what ended up happening is because the comps of the way they were, with Malachi and Alistar both being really tanky, but not necessarily damage-based, it ended up really costing Curse in the end, where Curse ended up being behind when they knew that Dignitas could beat them in team fights, especially when Corki and Morgana, plus an Aurelia, were able to just dive in and really just wreak havoc. And one thing I pointed out to Reinhardt when I initially saw it was, you don't realize how well Morgana and Aurelia work together, where Aurelia becomes a little tanky, you throw the Morgana shield right on Aurelia, and you tell her to go initiate the fight. Mm-hmm. That gives her just enough time where she initiates, takes some damage, and gets right back out. And it was incredible how it was consistent. Aurelia jumps in with the shield on, starts the fight, and then everybody else gets to join in, but she backs right out. And a lot of times, Voyboy, who was playing Aurelia at the time, was able to get back out every time. Well, the one thing I really want to talk about with the game is, towards the end, about the 50-minute mark, their Baron respawns again. And Curse and Dignitas are playing the dance game. Now, realize that Curse at the time had almost all three inhibitors down. I think one had respawned at the time, but they had gotten all three inhibitors down at one point and really had Dignitas pinned to the wall. They danced around Baron for a while, and then Curse made the big move and said, "Okay, we're diving for Dignitas's base." And I believe there was 3 turrets, and an inhib that were up, and they dove for everything. Almost got it, except that they lost 3-1 in a fight trying to bang it down and then try to turn it around on Dignitas trying to defend. Dignitas defended. The fight went longer. I think it was over 60 minutes, the game. It was something like 65 minutes total. One of the best games that you'll see in a tournament setting. And I highly recommend, if you can go and watch the game, it's worth your time. I had to watch it muted, unfortunately. I'm not the biggest fan of Cold Cheese. I know he was tired after doing all the casting, but
I hear he was like shredded cheese at the end of this.
Yeah, I heard he was so spent he just kind of like slumped. So, but I'm just not the biggest fan. I hate to say it. I can't listen to his cast. I understand he's really good for a certain level of player that may not know everything that's going on, but nowadays, I'll pass. I can watch everything myself and do better. So, but yes, the Dignitas versus Curse 2 game out of 3 second game was well worth a watch if you haven't seen it. It is one of the craziest games that you'll see, and one of the things that I will say that never give up, because there was a distinct advantage for Curse early on, and Dignitas really pulled it back out. And to their credit, $20,000. Yeah, I'd stay in it for the long run too. But great game.
When you got that much on the line, you just can't give it up. You have to keep going. You have to do everything you can do to try to win it. I didn't get to watch it. Was that the same game where no, see, I think that's why I called it IPLs, because someone put out a top 5 plays of the week, and they had Irelia jump into a fight, jump out, jump back in, jump in, jump out. I don't know. Did you watch those? The YouTube video?
I did not see that YouTube video yet. I didn't even see a link for it, to be honest with you.
I saw it on Reddit a couple days ago, but there's one that just shows a testament of Irelia and waiting, knowing your cooldowns and knowing your character and how they play. She would jump in, use that true damage to get some kills off her W, stun, and then walk right back out. Then she'd walk right back in after her skills were back up, after walking. They were fighting over by the purple team's blue, so she'd walk around the blue, then come back in. And it was just an amazing play for how she walked in, walked out, and knew how to use her skills so well. And that's another thing we don't really think about when we're playing these games is timers on your skills, and really knowing how long it's going to take for something up, how long it's going to take for you to initiate, before a stun goes off to be able to use your next skill. You can be calling initiate when you have 3 or 4 seconds left on a cooldown, because you won't use it until you make it there. And that's just something these pro level players and people you're going to see like in the GG Classic and whatnot really know inside and out how to play these characters. And it definitely showed in that Curse game at the end.
And let me say one other thing. Corki at the end of that game had 479 CS by himself, 23,000 gold by himself. Those are just retarded numbers for any game. I can't even remember a pro game ever getting to that level where there was so much. Like everybody's at the end build and then some. Like everybody's buying full pots, everything else. It was just a crazy game.
Yeah, it just came down to team comp and who was playing better at that point rather than items, especially when it's 60 minutes and everybody is fully farmed up. And that ties right back when we talked about that Baron buff. Just fighting around Baron like they did and trying to make a play for it. As you said, that Curse decided to forego Baron and go for the base. You can play mind games with Baron and make people think you're going to go for it and walk somewhere else, or at the same time, pinch him in the back. And, there's just so many little strategies you can do using Baron or Dragon to your advantage to really get the kill.
Absolutely. And let's just say, that's what makes this game so great, in my opinion, is that you have 4, really on the map, 6 objectives that, you're fighting for to keep. And, whether it's blue buff, red buff, dragon, or baron, those objectives really make a difference in the game and how the game runs. And fighting for those objectives ends up being, what produces some of the best, team fights that we see. So, I believe that's what makes this game different, in the respect of the strategies around securing those objectives are so big as a whole.
There's been some great games recently, especially the end of the Kings of Europe with the comeback from M5 at the end with the Ergot and TF and everything, that 50-minute game, and they came right back from it and won, and now we have this Curse game. So I just think the level of play for these pro players it's really showing how much after 2 years, how much better you can get at a game by playing it every day. And the level of knowledge. I mean, even some of these teams haven't been playing for that long, and the level of knowledge they possess is just insane. A lot of people it's all that theory crafting that we all learn.
No, if we could just get their attitudes to be a little better, then we'd be okay,
What can I got nothing to say about that. Nothing constructive.
Yeah, and special guest next week.
Alex Ick, next week.
Yeah.
We'll get him on here.
He'd be the only one, because I think he's the only one who really speaks true English, so I don't think the rest of them can, actually.
Is it true English, or? Boy, nobody's safe tonight. Next up, Jewish jokes.
Oh, shit.
I'll let Uncle Redhurt take that one. You could be the poster child for the Trinity Force podcast there, buddy.
Oh, I'm not even.
For bad racist jokes.
It's all right.
Well,
that's not even a race.
What have we made fun of tonight?
Has Auslander disconnected from the call yet?
He's working on it. Can't find the red button.
Can't find the red button.
He doesn't have enough energy from his vegan diet.
Yeah, if I wasn't recording this, I'd probably disconnect.
This coming from the guy who sits there all day and screams at me and tells me how much he hates me.
It's kind of true.
You wouldn't talk to me every day. Actually, he doesn't even initiate the talk anymore. I'm like, Auslander, what's up? Hey, Bandhammer, how's it going?
Oh, man.
And
that's okay. The only thing I get now is little soccer fans who whack themselves in the eye. That's all I get.
Yeah, that's Hornet and I. We just send each other stupid YouTube videos. We don't even say words to each other anymore.
No, there's no cohesive conversation. It's just there's a link. You will go click on it.
That's all you send back and forth on it. You don't even laugh or anything. It's just
links.
Your
feedback is on it either. If you enjoyed it or not, I don't really give a shit.
Irrelevant, yeah.
Yes, you will watch it anyway.
Links back and forth. That's funny. Well, no, see, Ranherd, he's the one sniping his friends list every day. I'll log on at 8 o'clock. He's been there for 2 hours. I get morning. I mean, it's not even 10 seconds I've been on. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. You just wait for someone to talk to.
I'm a big fan of a prompt salutation. What can I say?
Are you sitting there just waiting for me to log on every morning at 8 a.m.?
Yeah. I have nothing else to do. I just watch my friends list, and as soon as a new name pops up, I'm like, who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Oh, it's Pone. All right, sweet.
See, at least someone wants to talk to me, Auslander.
Morning. I send that to everybody, though. It's not just special.
He just has a script anytime someone logs on. Morning.
Yeah, really?
It's Ranhurt bot.
Everybody has
it'll dive towers and say good morning to your friends.
I was wondering just that. I was about to ask. Does it automatically dive towers?
It'll win 1 out of 20 games for you, potentially.
You know what you could really work on, Ranhurt, to win these games is proper counter jungling. I've seen you walk up there, try to take the race, and get caught.
Yeah, and you all can see that too. You just need to watch, well, any Optimus Prime Battle Arena, and you'll probably see it 2 or 3 times per match. Yeah,
You getting caught, or you
Yeah.
trying to take the race?
both.
Both.
Yeah,
I guess at the same
Yeah,
To
time.
that one.
yeah. I mean, I don't really. I guess I can start the conversation, but certainly as a mid, you want to try and take advantage if you're playing a champion that can push the lane pretty easily and go up and take the race. That's a good idea, but you have to know what is going on the map. You have to either have vision up there or know where the enemy jungler is, or both would be preferable. I mean, last night it didn't really happen as much. I got caught up there with no vision, but I've had times where I've had the ward up by Race to know that Race is up, go up there to take Race after pushing the lane, and only to have the jungler be in the brush right there by Race. He jumps out, mid comes over, and that's a dead Mordekaiser. But it is what it is. I guess you got to be a little bit better about it. Maybe take Race only when the other mid is roamed or is backed or you've killed him or whatever. Maybe that's a better opportunity. You're less apt to get caught. But I think also a lot of it has to do with the other team knowing what I like to do and some of those things too. So I mean, it all is what it is. But that's just my experience with mid, trying to do a little bit of counter jungling. It's important. You want to try and do it if you can, but it's important not to get caught. And I just always get caught, and that's part of Reinhardt syndrome. But for that, I'd like to defer to Hornet and Auslander, who spend quite a bit of time in the jungle to talk about the more serious counter jungle.
Well, let me say this. This spawned because of the change that potentially we're going to see in the patch, where you finish off a major creep in a neutral creep in a jungle camp, and the major one replenishes health. Well, now the major one is also going to replenish health and mana, which is going to be a real huge deal for sustained in the jungle, especially for some champions that are mana starved at particular times. But it also makes it worth your while to go counter jungle when people are going to start relying on this replenish of mana. And what I mean is, if you're able to just go and steal the big wraith, any particular jungle, steal the big blue wraith, or steal the big wolf, or the big golem, doesn't matter. Anything that's actually going to replenish, that's also with the gold is going to make a huge difference for what happens to your opposing jungler. And if you do it right, you will then stay levels ahead of your opposing jungler. And I really believe that you need to do one of two things as a jungler. You need to either make sure that you're out farming your opponent or you're making a better presence than your opponent jungler is. And what I mean is that making presence in lanes, making sure that there are ganks that either force a flash or actually secure kills. There needs to be ways that you make a bigger difference in the game than your opposing jungler does.
No,
yeah,
go ahead.
another thing too is like anytime the enemy jungler appears on the map, like if you're top and you see him ganking bottom, like that's a perfect time to just go and steal whatever you can from his jungle up top. And that's what because it's relatively safe, because then you basically only have to worry about the top lane and the mid lane coming to get you, and they're normally very easily spotted. And another thing is that it gives you an opportunity to, if the gank on bottom isn't successful, it gives you an opportunity to get levels on the other jungler. And also possibly hamper his jungle going forward, especially if you just take the major creep and leave the smaller one, just to so that the camp doesn't reset and he has to come in and finish it off. And
It has to clear it.
It's time and money lost.
Absolutely, and the I've been caught counter jungling as a laner. I can find games, and I usually like to test this out, where one of the things I do is I'll play Shyvana top if I don't get a jungle or some other role in a match. And Shyvana top I really like because I get to push and then I get to roam. And I push and roam and love to roam into the opposing jungler if I've seen where the jungler is. Now, a lot of times I just want to go see if blue is up. And I'm going to take a ward with me to help out my jungler by putting a ward at their blue. There's a couple different effects of that. If you can happen to steal that blue, or you know where they are at the time of are they close and are they leaving their blue buff open, you go take it yourself, you prevent it from being on your opposing AP mid, which gives your middle lane an advantage, because if you can just watch your own blue buff and steal theirs, it's never going to come back. I remember I actually was able to influence a game so much because I stole 3 blue buffs and pushed my lane against a Shen that it just makes that much more of a difference, where then my middle lane was able to have more abilities and then was able to out-farm his lane and push his lane back, and then it just led further and further to better idea or better pushing, better advantages. You get the advantage you need, and then you just keep pushing with it, which is exactly, you're looking for every advantage you can in this game. This is the biggest thing to happen, and counter jungling definitely helps in that.
You all make fantastic points. I wanted to, unfortunately, I don't really have much more to bring up for counter jungling, and I don't want to cut anybody off. So, have you guys anything else? Ranhert?
Well, give it perspective from the bottom lane. A lot of times, when you're bot lane and dragon's already been taken, and the tower is down that you're going against, where are you going to roam to? Where is the first place that you roam?
As soon
I'll
as
tell you, he roams middle and takes my fucking farm.
That's true. I've seen that plenty of times. That's true. But my point is that a lot of times you'll roam into that tri-bush and you'll check to see if blue's there, will you not?
Oh, absolutely. If I don't already have a wood, yes, I'm walking over to blue, possibly wolves, depending on where the people are at, and then I'm roaming around the map and heading back to bot when they push it back.
And that's my point, is that when you take that first tower in any lane, that usually gives you a little bit more room to roam a little bit in the opposing jungler and possibly take more experience away from them and more gold away from them and towards you, and you're pushing your advantage. If you can win a lane early, then that tower being gone allows you. I should draw a map, and maybe I will, where I think there's a bubble that you're allowed to go through without getting yourself truly in trouble, that you can still get out of a situation. And when you take down that first tower, I think the bubble expands a little bit to further inside of camps that you can go visit and take. Say I'm, your blue side pwn, and you take it down. You're gonna go visit, just to see if it's there. Say you're playing Caitlyn, you'll lay a trap in, in the blue jungle, in the brush area of the blue buff. I mean, there's a couple different aspects of it that you need to look to push your advantage. And the great thing about pros is they do it so efficiently, and sometimes we don't even recognize that we should be doing it.
Yeah, and probably, another thing that needs to be mentioned is really how long is counter jungling really effective besides the blue and the red buff? If you can take race, if you can take golems, if you can take those things early, yes, you're going to affect the other jungler. But then there becomes a point where they don't really need to rely on the farm as much as a jungler, and you're really just doing it for your own benefit. You're really taking those things for your own money, for your own farm. So I guess there's a point in the game where that kind of switches, probably around mid-game. And you're looking just for those opportunities to improve yourself as opposed to taking down the enemy team. And you want to take that into consideration when weighing it against the chance that you're going to get caught on the other side and now cause your team to have to deal with a 4v5 situation.
And let me say, there's also a diminishing returns as far as leaving one small part of a camp up in the opposing jungle. If you don't, at some point, and I'd be curious to know some stats on this. Maybe we'll pull a resident math guy, but it's more of a judgment call in that I would guess by about the 20-minute mark, you want to take every CS for yourself.
Right.
And then because once a couple towers are down, taking jungle camps, you want to know exactly when it spawns again, because you might be able to go right back in and take it again, depending on what's going on. Now, obviously, it's one of the last things that you're going to be concerned with, but taking those jungle camps, you're going to increase your advantage, but then at some point you actually want to know what the spawn timer is, because a minute later you might still be in the area, you push a lane, and then you go and take the camps again.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, once you've, apart from a level 1 steal, if you go and invade at level 1 and take red camp or take blue camp, those you want to leave at least, you leave one there, because the chances of you getting a timer and wanting to come back and contest that buff again when it comes back up is kind of slim, because you're still early game. But then come mid-game, yeah, exactly, you want to actually take the entire camp for those buffs so that you know when they come back up and you can contest those buffs as a team fight, knowing that that's an objective that the opposing team is going to want to go to, and you now have the upper advantage and you want to go and contest that. So,
and one thing I forgot, blue and red, I think you always want to take the entire camp, and the reason being is that gives you the timer.
Well,
and you know exactly when it's up.
I think his argument here is unless it's the second time it's spawned at 14 minutes or whatever.
Yeah,
14,
about the 12
minutes.
to 13 minute mark, I think it is. Yeah.
Right. At the first one, you can leave the first creep there, because that puts the other guy way behind, because then he'll have to come back to it in 6 minutes after he's killed that small creep.
Yeah, he has no idea. If the level 1
Right.
you've left it, you don't know, then he has no idea when it's going to come back up.
Well, I mean, he can count it from that 6 minute mark when he's killed that
Right.
small creep, but he won't. You've put him behind an extra 2 minutes at that point, or you've put the middle behind an extra 2 minutes, while you have a timer 2 minutes ahead of him for your blue buff.
Right.
Right. But any other time other than that, you want to definitely take the entire camp so that you have a firm timer on that. Because really the chances of you trying to contest that next buff is pretty slim, because you're still even. It was still early game.
Right.
He wasn't set back that far. And you're really not going to go in there with like 3 or 4 champs to contest it.
Let me say this: at some level, I would say at the highest levels, there are teams that will say, okay, we're going to have everything set up so that we can contest their blue. Usually it's only blue. It's not usually red. Their blue to be contested, and what they'll do is they'll make sure that, for instance, say you're on the purple team and you're going to contest the blue team's blue buff. Top lane, mid lane, jungler end up converging all at once right to that spot, and are ready to contest that blue buff to prevent them from taking it. I think that's a huge thing. If you can know when it's going to happen, have it warded if possible, and then go and contest it. And a lot of times, even if you just contest it a little bit, you can force them away to not take it, and nobody takes it for a little while, or you can actually get a kill from it because they're so completely surprised by you coming in, or you get the blue buff altogether. Any of those three are beneficial to you. The only problem is if you stay too long, and then that can be trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I think blue buff is one of those things. I guess I agree with you. I think that blue buff's a good thing to take the timer on no matter what. But blue buff's also very telegraphed. I can't say how many times. It's like almost every time that blue buff is up, I see the mid leave and go to blue buff. And I can call blue buff, but obviously if you have the timer, then the chances of your jungler being on that side of the jungle or within range and everyone being coordinated to actually strike that blue buff is a little bit better. So, you definitely, I think blue buff is one of those things you probably want to have the timer on. Red buff, on the other hand, red buff is one of those things that you almost have to extend a little further for. It feels like you're a little more exposed because of the outs. You don't really have the best outs to get out of the jungle there. And the jungler is usually going to take the red buff himself for the first few levels. Mm-hmm. You really don't start donating red buff to the carry until late in mid to late game. So, you probably want to leave one up for those guys. But yeah, if you can get a timer on blue, that's probably pretty good, because if you can catch the jungler and or the AP carry there and get a kill or a double kill, that's pretty big.
Just another objective that you fight for in this game. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and it also all comes down to, It really is if you're playing as a team. Like if you go back to our Atlanta interview, he said he wants to see a lot more people start playing rank 5s because it's all about playing as a team, and that's what this game is. And that's why, not so much. You should put so much on the solo queue. Solo queue just shows you can play each position very well. However, when you play in a team, you're in a different scenario. And as we've seen, and like I said, with the North American Amateur League of Legends tournament, they had timers on everything. It was DC Gaming versus DB Gaming, and DB Gaming had timers on everything. And Sejuani would walk in there every minute and a half, take the race, and every 5 minutes to come take their red, completely putting Lee Sin way behind because she knew the timers on it every point, so they knew when to contest it. But they had such great communication, they were able to do that. Now, if you're playing solo queue, it's harder to do that because you can't get that communication. So it might better serve you to leave one of those items there, or leave one of those creeps there in the very beginning. So I think that's there's a big difference between solo and team queue when it comes to this.
Yeah, and really, take your game to the next level. I mean, I know when I play solo queue or duo queue or even just pugs in a custom, I usually play mid. So even when I'm playing mid, I'm still calling out the timers. I'm still calling out the times. I'm not going to assume that the jungler on our team or the support on our team or anybody else is going to be cognizant of when things were taken. So, it's really good. It's good for your map awareness. It's good for, everything in your game to just be cognizant of what's going on the map and when things are going down and try and keep timers on them. And, you don't have to be in those roles to do that job. Just take note of it, call it out, you type it in if you're going to be typing it in, whatever. And I think it's going to go far. It definitely helps improve, especially when we're talking about solo queue, where you're figuring that 4 people on your team are of whatever varying skill levels, and you don't know any of them, you have no communication with them. Well, if you take a timer and you type it in, well, the whole team can't ignore that. That just improves your team's chances that much more. And it's something you can definitely do and recommend it.
Guys, we've really talked counter jungling into exhaustion at this point, to make a nice League of Legends pun there. If we have a few minutes left, the notes have kind of popped out here for the Fiora, which is a new champ. I kind of want to talk about her real quick. Predictions, what you guys think, where should we play it, how should we play it, and of course the Lux and Alistar buffs that are coming in. So first of all, I can never pronounce names correctly. Am I saying her name correctly?
Fiora?
I'm reading it phonetically.
Yeah, if it was an N instead of the R, it would be Fiona, but it's not. It's Fiora.
Fiora.
As opposed to Sonya, that has no I or J.
Or Y.
Yeah.
It's not Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, exactly.
So she's going to be the new... She's
Fiora.
What?
Sorry, he keeps saying Sonya.
Oh, yeah, Sonya and turrets, and not turrets.
Yeah. Sorry.
Tourette's. That's more likely.
Mayoki, so let's...
Yeah, Mayoki. Mayokai. I say Mayo.
I've never pronounced anything wrong in my life.
Oh, my God. Just, fairly quickly, we obviously see her coming out. She's got a passive that's akin to Garen's. However, she gains life every time she deals damage. She gains life over 6 seconds. So while she's in there last hitting, she's going to gain life over the next 6 seconds for every time she attacks. And every time she attacks a champion, it actually stacks to the 4 times to give her more life. Now, more and more looking at her kit, she really looks like she's going to be a very strong top lane champion, in my opinion. And I know I've seen some people want to say they want to play her as an AD bottom, but just the way she can gain life in a very sustaining champion at this point, I feel that she will probably see her in the top lane to start out with. You guys' opinions?
Yeah, it seems that way. I don't know. It's hard to tell. She seems like she's got a pretty decent kit, but nothing that just stands out to me that's like, wow, it's really someone I want to play. But now that I own pretty much all the champs, but 5 of them, I'm probably going to buy her just in case. So the whole Reinhardt thing, buying champs that are mediocre is out the window because I'm pretty much on the cuff for buying them all.
Yeah, no.
My one worry is, do you see any CC from anything she does? I was trying to read everything, and I don't see anything CC wise, whether it's a stun or a slow or.
No, but she has her ability. She has no CC, but she has riposte, so she could she could reflect spells and other abilities coming in at her, which it's going to make her break that champ. I think that W skill right there is going to make her break her as being very well played.
And let me just say that skill will be very, very, very skill dependent on the person playing her.
Absolutely.
That's going to be, you need to time that perfectly, and she could be, in some cases, she could be really broken with that case. I mean, it's the same thing that's the difference between good Nocturne players and great Nocturne players is when exactly they use their W. This sounds like it's going to be the same thing. Not sure the cooldown on it, but that's going to make or break whether someone skillful uses her and makes her look great, and someone without as much skill gets really frustrated with her. I think is the best way to put it.
I can't wait to summon Caitlyn alter and she reflects it back at Caitlyn and kills.
Well,
Caitlyn.
it says the basic attack.
Oh, is it only basic?
Yeah, when activated, Fiora parries the next basic attack and reflects the magic damage back to the attacker. So it's not as great.
So it's not as great as I had originally thought. Good thing we have these notes here.
Looks like you want to obviously use it against the AD carry probably because they're going to take the magic damage based upon their attack damage that they just gave to you.
I mean, she gets a lot of movement. That's the one good thing for her. She's going to be moving around. It looks like fairly well, no matter what's going on. But I don't see any CC, and I think that's going to make a major difference in what makes her actually decent. And
she reminds me of Tryndamere in a way because, as Chad has pointed out, at this point, Tryndamere is really the only melee AD carry type champ they have out there, or at least he was the first one. And
Master Yi.
Well, Master Yi, yes. But Master Yi, once again, he doesn't have any kind of slow, and I think that's going to really put her in the same place as Master Yi.
Yeah, she's the female Master Yi. That's my prediction.
Yeah, except she doesn't have a way to get.
But Master Yi at least has the heal, I don't know.
Highlander too. He has a way to break all CC and get the hell out of there.
Well, to me, it's like Shyvana. It's like, okay, I have to build a phage on her, or else I'm not going to get any way to necessarily stick to somebody if they get back to a safe area.
Build her AP. Build Rylai's on her.
Yeah.
Does she have AP ratios?
Yeah, her
W, I think.
Her W scales off of AD, but it deals magic damage, and her R. This is a dumb idea, so.
Wait! Is this similar to like an AP Nessus dumb idea? Is that what I'm?
Well, no, maybe AP Saporic, but her W deals magic damage. So if you did by some, odd chance decide to build a Rylai's, her W would just slow anyone it hit.
Yeah, if they attacked her. So all she gains
of course,
is the life.
She'd be doing 60 attack damage, so it wouldn't really be all that exciting.
It's pretty much the worst idea.
Yeah, I mean, her entire kit does damage, though, so, I mean, I don't know. I can't really think of many champs that have no CC.
I just see her more as like a bruiser.
Damage.
Really, because she gains life. Everything, every time she attacks, she gains life and attacks with the 4 times. I see her being as more of a tanky bruiser, and with no CC, no kit like a Riven or even a slow from Tryndamere, she can't catch anybody. So she's really just going to have to be that person who initiates and does nothing. I mean, it's hard to say without CC. It's hard for her to do anything.
Yeah, but I mean, she can be an assassin. I mean, if you could probably just run in. You're going to get crazy bursts. She's got great mobility. You're not going to do any CC. So, if the rest of your team has got some CC, you can see some pretty good ganks coming in combination there with her. I don't know. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that we're going to see the Summoner Spotlight show, or the Champion Spotlight is going to show her in the jungle.
And I build Trinity Force on her, right?
Exactly. The only way to build your jungle.
Because she does massive damage.
Huge damage.
Yeah, see, this is my worry, is that, okay, she's going to be similar in my respect to a Katarina, where as soon as she gets CC'd, there's nothing that she's going to necessarily be able to do to break it. So when she's actually caught, she's going to have to use, I'm not sure that she gets away necessarily that easily, but she could. And then I'm looking at it, she doesn't keep anybody close.
Right.
So she's going to have to be matched in situational team comps, because if you have I'm thinking, I'm going through junglers in my mind right now. Like,
anyone with a red buff, really? You're
Right,
going to need
like-
someone to slow for you or stun for you.
That's
straight
what it
up.
comes down to. I mean, there's no way that like her and Shyvana can be on the same team together. Like that's just not going to work. I don't, both can have phages. That's about all you can do for them, in my opinion. But I feel like they're going to be one and the same, and in that you're going to have to build your itemization around making some CC for her.
Well, with her...
Well, Olaf
Yeah, I
Go
agree.
ahead.
Olaf just got buffed, I think, right? So maybe he's got a slow. Maybe that'll be a combo you can play Olaf.
Oh my
Olaf
god,
jungle.
Olaf is going to be so freaking sick right now. He was already secretly good,
Yes.
but these buffs are going to really push Olaf over the top, I think.
Does anyone
I'm
want...
actually waiting that.
Go ahead.
I would like to see that. The one thing about Olaf is, he's very, very slow in the beginning, and I think the reason that we haven't seen him necessarily at higher levels is just because he can't snowball very fast until he gets his ultimate, and then he has a little bit of help. Once that happens, then if you can get him to the late game, man, he is sick. He really does have some great abilities to work with, not to mention the fact that he can't, not being CC'd, he can go after whatever target he wants to and doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
he
but
just goes right there.
They did change this Ragnarok where it no longer gives a flat 40% damage reduction. Instead, it gives him 60 armor and 60 magic resist. Which
That's
really,
fine,
I see
but
that as more of a nerf than a buff.
I understand that, but I'm saying he doesn't get CC'd either. Like, if you get, Olaf's usually not somebody you want to initiate a fight. Usually there's somebody else that on the team that usually can initiate a fight for you. And then Olaf is going to be one of those, like a Nocturne, where he's just going to go straight for either the AD carry or the healer or whatever the case may be and be able to get there. Like, you're not going to stop him from getting there.
Right.
And I think, his buffs give him a little bit more damage. And I do kind of feel like a few of these help early game a little bit because that's where he's really the weakest. But it doesn't change his late game at all. It feels like the late game is actually going to, scaling change to 1.0 bonus AD for 0.05 total AD. I don't know what the numbers are.
It's a 0.5 buff, but I think it really just comes down to if the Ragnarok is going to be as powerful as it was before, because he could sit in there, take 40% less damage from anybody attacking him, and just gain his life back for the Starks and just rape face as it is now while not being CC'd, but now that he's getting that armor and magic that can be penetrated while the flat damage reduction could not.
True. That's a good point. And I guess we'll see. I still feel like...
Do you own him or no?
Do I own him?
Yeah.
No.
Did you really
I do
ask
not.
that?
Oh, you never know.
I actually think I do own him. I don't think I've ever played him, though. Yeah, but, I mean, the big thing here is that Olaf has always been very blue dependent. He's been very mana dependent, and none of that's changed here. So while everything else has gone up a little bit, he's still going to be very mana dependent. So, if he's in top lane, you're best to have like a Lee Sin jungle so that you can get blue, and maybe like a Vladimir in mid so that you can still get blue. And if he's in the jungle, you're going to want, Vladimir top and maybe a Kennen in mid or vice versa or something, or Mordekaiser so that you can take blue. Because that's really the downfall of Olaf at this point, is they're so mana dependent.
Right.
It's really tough.
And I guess we'll see how that plans out too, because another champion that we've been talking about that was really mana dependent was Jarvan, and he's not quite as mana dependent, and I think that did make a difference.
No, he's fantastic now. It's that 10 minus.
I'm not going to call him fantastic. He's still slow in the jungle if you put him there.
Yeah, there's some footage that exists that may convince you he's not fantastic.
Yeah.
From about an hour ago.
Yeah, don't watch that
Exactly.
footage. No, he's that change on just the 10 mana reduction on each of his skills, allow it to be 120 mana to eat a Q, made him. It actually it was a giant buff. Just a 10 mana reduction on each level, or whatever it was, just overall, was a giant buff on him. And I think you could do something like that to Olaf, where you just give him a flat mana reduction, and it could scale so much better for him to be able to poke longer and last longer in lane without being as blue dependent as he was. I mean, obviously, Jarvan's still blue dependent to be in the jungle. However, he can last longer in the jungle without it at this point.
Right. One thing I want to change to, because we're going to run ourselves on time more than likely. The Lux change, it's kind of a make sense kind of change.
Right.
But basically what happens is her skills are also going to grant you vision where they are put, especially the is it the singularity? That's the one that's
Lucent
it's the
singularity.
Yeah, that's the
E.
That's the bubble.
the bubble, and her ult.
Yes, and her alt as well. I should say both of those are now going to grant vision wherever they are put, and I think this will make a big difference as far as I wouldn't be surprised to see Lux played as a support, which I'm not sure if that was her intention, but when she was initially made. But I wouldn't be surprised to see her more often as a true support now, because I think that vision actually does make a difference when you're looking towards different things. For instance, throw her to Lucent Singularity into Dragon, and then all of a sudden now it's not something that you can stop from them having vision. Whereas a lot of times you see a ward stuck in the back of the pit from, say, the blue team that's trying to see what's going on with Dragon and see if it's being taken when it's pulled out of the pit. Instead, you get a recurring ability that's going to show you vision.
And
moving
great for
into
moving
blue
bushes,
buff.
right?
Oh, absolutely. You can check a bush every time you want. Now there's no face checking now with Lux. It's now you can go see everything you need to before you go in, and I think that's a great change for her. I think that change will actually make her viable as a support now. I could be wrong, but that's my feeling. I'd play her as a support.
No, I mean it's huge. I mean just support as well as just playing her mid so that in later on she can use that. I mean she still gets the same utility out of that skill. I mean it's really big. I mean she's tough mid against a lot of matchups. She's got a great kit, and this just makes it even that much better. She's going to be able to control things very well with even that much vision. So
What I really like is they gave her alt vision as well. So now if I blind fire in a bush, I can actually see if I'm going to hit the person before they die.
yeah, it's no longer like such a party. It's like, I'm going to hit them.
Yeah, exactly. Did I hit them? Oh, they died. I've definitely had that happen to me before where I fired randomly and got the person, but I couldn't see if I was going to get the person while I was firing my alt. Because Lux was one of the characters I had originally picked up and started playing for whatever reason. Trying to learn skill shots, I suppose.
It was that laugh. You just like that laugh so much.
I love that laugh. I bought Combato Lux because of that laugh.
So I do want to point out something here that actually our moderator in our chat actually brought up. Part of the patch notes is that important items purchased by your team will now be called out in chat, such as R items, sight and vision wards, top tier items, etc. This is really pretty big. I mean, if you're buying something like an Aegis or a Frozen Heart, things with a unique, aura associated to them, now you don't have to worry and ask, like, hey, you guys building it or not? You're going to know when it's being built. You're still going to want to know if they're, like, halfway towards building it.
Right.
But it's still pretty cool to know whether or not, your teammates have purchased those items.
I think, yeah, that's it's a brand new thing. It's going to be great for solo queue, really, because if you're in a team, more than likely you're asking, hey, I just bought Aegis or I just bought Locket of the Iron Solari, but instead now you can look down and see who's also bought wards, which I think is another big thing. So a lot of people are complaining, how do I get people to buy more wards, or should there be a ward tracker? I think this is just one more step toward some type of ward tracker for the end of the game, much like buying items in creep score.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
By the way, this is more of a question directed at Pwn directly.
Mm-hmm.
The Madrid's attack damage increased from 40 to 30.
You mean 30 to 40?
Well, it's increased. Sorry,
Okay.
it says it in the notes. It goes from 240 from 30. The increase in 10, does that influence any of your builds? Is that enough of a difference to influence any of them?
I've had a lot of times bottom lane, and Auslander can, has been down there with me, where a lot of times the guys have walked away with 10, 20 life, or even 30 life. I mean, it's been after a couple auto attacks into an ult, but that could have made the difference right there. Is that extra 10 damage. Now, there's going to be some reduction where it'll probably be, 6 damage or something I'm doing to it, but I think it's going to be a significant buff, especially on Misfortune, who continues to do more damage as her W stacks on a single target. I like to run up, drop a Make It Rain, proc my W a couple times, and then toss my ult on them. And last night, Auslander, were you playing? It wasn't last night. A couple nights ago, we were playing. And I had the Sona just walk away with a couple things of life. I kept screaming, "Why is she not dying?"
Yeah, we just kept getting them down pretty low every time. Just small little differences. But the only thing is though the Blood Razor. I mean, you usually just go right into Wriggles, right? Or do you sometimes come back to lane with?
It depends how the lane is going, but I'll come back with Blood Razor. Or sorry, not Blood Razor. Yeah. Blood Razor. So I'll just come back to that with boots and a Doran's blade.
Like what I meant is
we're not talking about Razor. We're talking
about the wrong item.
Yeah.
So, I've never seen you build Blood Razor. It's an item that I build on Teemo, generally. Just because you're not usually the solo 80 carry as Teemo, you're usually like 80 top or maybe even mid or whatever. But it's a very expensive item, and it's not something you're going to see built as much on your 80 carries, and that hasn't changed here. So I'm not sure that this 10 damage is going to make it all the more, attractive.
I was thinking of Madrids or Wriggles, obviously, when I was saying that. You usually buy that because it does percentage of damage when you're doing it. When you use it to chunk down tanks who you can't get through the armor for.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there's no reason for that extra 10.
The last character. I asked this because the last character I actually saw Blood Razor being used on, or it's still in the suggested part, I believe, is Warwick, and I'm not even sure.
Kog'Maw was as well.
Okay, there's another one. I've never played Kog'Maw, so I would have never known. But so I was kind of curious as to whether an 80 carry would consider that now with that increase.
And even 10 damage in the total thing, you're still using it for the percentage of life that you're doing. You're chunking every attack with it. And you build that on... You can build it on a Kog'Maw, assuming that you're getting fed, is when you usually build that item on him, because still the Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, Black Cleaver is going to do more damage, and it costs less to get those items. But, you stack his W with that Blood Razor, you're doing 8-9% damage every time you hit somebody, and it just starts, chunking away life like crazy.
Okay.
So
easy enough. The one other thing I wanted to mention is the Alistar change. Alistar is having his heal mana cost, which is his E, increased, but his ultimate is being reduced in mana costs from 150 to 100, and his trample damage is being increased to 10 to 27 from 10 to 23. Basically 27 damage per 10 seconds, for 23 damage per 10 seconds, which I like the change. I understand that what we've been seeing is Alistar, you level the E as quick as you can, and it feels like infinite heals. I mean, I know there's a mana cost involved, but it's such a small mana cost that you could have one mana regen item on him, even a Philo Stone,
right.
And that was enough where you have a heal coming up every time the cooldown was up. So I kind of understand the change. I kind of like it. They needed to give him something else if they weren't going to let him sustain that way.
You can ask Auslander about the change to his ult. He's going to love the hell out of that.
Yeah, I died yesterday because I was just out of mana for the ult. So I probably would have lived. This is a couple days late. I think I had to headbutt someone away from Pwn, and then I didn't have enough mana for my ult. So I die, so he lives, I guess. But
that's right. Save
doesn't that happen to all of us who try to support Pwn? He gets himself in trouble, and then we come save him, and we die.
Yeah.
Could be worse. You could support me.
Yeah, well, I've gone from supporting Ranherd back in the days to Pwn, so I'm used to it. It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna die here.
Yeah, no wonder. Well, we always talked about this. Is do not. If anybody is coming new to the game, or you're teaching somebody to play the game, don't have their first character they learn be Poppy. I know she's a cute little girl, but don't do it. Just don't, because the syndrome will live forever in more people the more that Poppy is your initial starting character. Just saying.
That's right.
It's true.
So guys,
hold on. What? Don't end it just yet.
You got to get it here, dude. We're almost at hour and a half. So this is our longest episode yet. I give you a second.
There's a distinct Auslander buff here.
Oh, okay. I'm turning the Carl gift back on.
Okay, there's a distinct Auslander buff here. The Toy Soldier Gangplank animation has been fixed.
I was playing with one of my real life friends the other day, and he's actually got that skin, and he was like losing his mind. He's like, "How come I'm not attacking?" He's getting so pissed. I'm like, yeah, it's a bug. It's just you're attacking. You just don't see it. And he's
Now you
like,
can feel free to choose that instead of one of your other 4 Gangplank skins if you want to.
yeah, well, maybe.
Your other 4, you can play Scion if you have 3. I think you need to donate me your account, Auslander. I'll play Scion in every ranked game and pick a new skin every time.
I'll donate them, but not really a donation. It'll be a sale. Some kind of currency will be exchanged.
I'll give you RP for it. I'll give you a used 3DS. I'll go and steal your 3DS.
Yeah, right. If anyone wants a 3DS, barely been used, feel free to contact me.
Leave a text message on our number. Why don't you take us out on that note?
Wait, before we take... I have to say real quick, before we leave, guys, if you need to watch Beyond the Rift, it's Tuesdays at 10:30 p.m., so it's in about a half an hour. I just put it up there. Go check it out over at own.tv/Perfect Rain. These guys have been great to us. Hornet and I sit in their IRC chat every single day, so... go watch them. They have a couple pros on tonight. Sidco, and I don't remember the other one off the top of my head, unfortunately. Do you remember who it is, Hornet?
It's a representative from, I think, IPL.
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's an IPL representative.
It's Sid TKO and a representative from IPL.
There you go.
So there you go. Now,
Along with the normals that are awesome.
now that you
Alright,
guys are going to go watch
if
Beyond
you-
the Rift, you can take us out.
Alrighty. If you want to give us a call and place a bid on my used 3DS, it's just about brand new. It's 203-494. That's 203-493-6723. You can text in your bid, and we'll get back to you. Or you can email us at feedback@trinityforcepodcast.com or follow us on Twitter at tforcepodcast.
That'd be fantastic. That'll take us out for tonight. I'm actually gonna go ahead, and you'll probably hear.
Oh, let me put one thread out there. Demon Machine, if you don't return the favor, I might shoot you. I'm just saying.
Uh-oh.
You're dead to us.
Yeah, you will be dead to us if you don't return the favor.
Recorded on a podcast. You're gonna regret that if he turns up dead tomorrow.
I'm gonna yell at him tomorrow in chat. So
I'm not worried.
So as you guys see here, I'm going to play us out with the GG Classic promo vid. It was great seeing you guys tonight. Here we go.
Yeah, man.
Assuming my music plays on it. Apparently it doesn't. So apparently no one is getting the vid taken out, except you're going to listen to us as we talk about it. Right, guys? Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
So.